Virtual machine lifecycle management is a big deal. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So UCS Director has the capability of making your life a little bit easier here. In order to be able to make a change to a VM after it's provisioned, you may have to go through a lot of different steps. Well, within UCS Director, you have the ability to be able to add or remove a virtual network interface card. You can add or remove virtual machine storage. And you can also increase or decrease memory and CPU. These are all core things that you can do very quickly and easily within the platform. Ultimately, the end user has to have the access to be able to do it, so you have to give them permissions to be able to resize the virtual machine. So it's something that if you want to be able to add this as a self-service option, you have to be able to actually select this. So it's not something that's there by default. This is also something that you can provide a requirement for an approval process as well. This is again a capability that's very beneficial by being able to allow the end user to be able to manage their system. It's one less thing that the administrator won't have to have on their plate to be able to address. So let's go through a quick demo and we'll show how to do VM resizing. So in this demonstration, I'd like to show how to do a resizing of a virtual machine within UCS Director. So why would you need to resize a VM? Well, there's a million different reasons. You could have a situation where the original virtual machine was just undersized. You didn't have enough CPU, you didn't have enough memory. Whatever the reason, it's fairly easy to be able to do within UCS Director. First thing we have to do is we have to go to the virtual environment. So we'll go to Compute, and then we'll go to our virtual data center where our VM lives. So here we're going to go to the Sales Gold VDC. We're going to select that VM, and then you can see here that I'm running a Ubuntu server that we had configured before. Now, whenever you're going to do a resize of a virtual machine, some virtual machines, depending upon the capabilities you have, and if you're running the appropriate pieces of software, you may have the ability to be able to make changes on the fly. But in the case of this Ubuntu server, we're going to have to power it off. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and power off that server. And we'll go ahead and execute it now. And it's going to go through the process of shutting down that server cleanly. Okay, so now we can see that that's now complete. So we'll click OK, and we can see that the state is now powered off. So now we have the ability to be able to do a number of different things. So you can see up here I've got a wizard that allows me to be able to resize the virtual machine. In addition, I can do a lot of other activities. So there's tons of things I can do from this particular page, but right now we're focused on resizing the virtual machine. So this is going to give me that capability of changing the current characteristics of that virtual machine. So as you can see, I have one CPU, I've got half a gig of memory. It's just not working. We need more headroom for our applications. So here I can go ahead and add some more CPU to the virtual machine. So maybe I'm going to go ahead and give it 4 CPU cores, and I'm also going to give it 2 gigs of memory because our initial estimations were vastly underpowered for what we need out of this application. So we'll go ahead and click Resize, and now it's going through the process of resizing the the parameters of this virtual machine. So we'll walk through that process. And as you can see now, that is now complete. So at this point, if I click on this particular virtual machine, I can see that we have added new capabilities to it. So the actual CPU and characteristics of it have been increased. So we've moved to 2 gigs of memory. We've got 4 virtual CPU cores. Now I can go ahead and launch that virtual machine and put it back into production. So we'll click Power On and get that thing running. And that's how you resize a virtual machine in UCS Director.